press center of defense forces of south of Ukraine, and we'll speak about the situation in the south of Ukraine. And now I want to introduce you our speaker, Yuliia Pavlenko, Director of the Department of International Relations of Ukrposhta, and we'll speak about how the export of small business changed, internet trade, how it changed during the war. So, Yuliia, please tell us. Good afternoon, to you all. First, we'll start that we'll see how Ukrposhta works. I would like to remind you that Ukrposhta is the second employer in Ukraine. Almost 60,000 people work in Ukrposhta on all territory of Ukraine. We have 11,000 of departments. We are in all parts of Ukraine, even in small villages. The war really impacted our operations, not only import and export, but all post-delivery of Ukrposhta. You see, we lost access to almost 1,000 of our locations. You see that 500 departments is still occupied, and 445 is those that we understand that they'll need to be renewed, reanimated. We have 12 direct strikes of missiles into our departments, into our offices. We have a lot of operational objects that were damaged, severely damaged. Today, it's 9 big objects: sorting centers, transport bases. Our sorting center in Mariupol, very little remained from it after Russians arrived. It's Chernihiv head post office. Right now, it's renewing the operations because we operated in the occupied territories, also in Chernihiv. You see direct strikes of missiles in our offices, also in the villages. So that's pictures from Donetsk. A lot of offices suffered, and this all impacted international operations of Ukrposhta. Almost 200 vehicles was involved with different events from our part, and those are captured in our occupied territories. Those unpleasant pictures, regretfully, they exist in Ukrposhta. At the same time, what was happening in the country, Ukrposhta continued operations. We stopped only for one day. That was the day when the war was announced. And the next day, we renewed not only local deliveries, but import and export as well. The sky over Ukraine was closed. Before the war, we were delivering from Boryspil airport via 15, the biggest airlines of the world. And regretfully, right now, our logistics changed drastically. We provide delivery of pensions of retirement payments, 3,200,000 people in Ukraine. We done a lot of things that made life easier for many Ukrainians. We allowed free delivery from one place to other place. You understand that a lot of people relocated in Ukraine, so almost 70,000 of deliveries were redirected for free in Ukraine. A lot of retired people moved, and we give them service, payment of retirement policy, of pensions in the new place. They could fill out the applications online, and we did this transfer. Also, Ukrposhta, one of the news that Ukrainians liked, a lot of people left without documents and personal belongings abroad. And we started this promotion package from home. Almost 532 metric tons were delivered with 70% of discount for all Ukrainians to have access to their, beloved belongings. And I saw how people met those parcels abroad. That's a part of Ukraine brought to many settlements in Poland, in Romania, Moldova, and other countries of Europe. Ukrposhta always supported small and middle business. And one of the first tasks we had is to save small entrepreneurs. That's actual pictures in the first month of war. They were first sent, some even sent from Kharkiv and from other places of Ukraine. They were really happy that there is access to international platforms to feed their families, to keep the production. And practically over 5 years, during the time of this active development of Ukrposhta, The big focus direction was export. So we trained the entrepreneurs how they should open their stores on eBay, Amazon, Eats, Shopify, and other international platforms. We opened portal. There are many materials there. If a person is not lazy, they can open, few days, they can open new platform to sell their items. We cooperate a lot with USAID that put a lot of effort to support Ukrainians. In the first month of war, we initiated a project of microgrant, $100,000 we gave to small entrepreneurs to support their businesses, for them to support, increase sales, ensure sustainability of their enterprises. On YouTube, Ukrposhta, there is like a Klondike of additional materials about how at home you can open your business. And with that, we agreed with eBay to have a business incubator for business hatchery for Ukrainian business. You can apply online and they'll consider that within a week, 10 days, and after that they'll offer you either a free store for 3 months or step-by-step support to start your business. Also, at first days of war, we addressed all the international platform where Ukrainians sold, and we asked not to close operations from Ukraine. Why? Why it's important? Because many Ukrainians lost access to markets of Ukraine because a lot of people could not even have ability to sell something or to buy something, and didn't even think of it. The first days of war, the first weeks of war, and we had to sell somewhere abroad. And if the platforms restricted access to Ukrainians because what they wanted to do it because there was a big challenge for international platforms, the first reaction was to just close Ukraine. We agreed with them that they won't close it, and most of the platforms agreed to with commission-free to work with Ukrainians commission-free, like Wish. For 6 months, it's zero commission of Joom, eBay, 2 month. So the majority of known platforms, they really supported Ukrainians for Ukrainians to be able to earn money. So one or more tasks to continue deliveries of parcels. So that's how our logistics looked in the first days of war, first weeks of war. 25th of February, there was a big session, world session, devoted to COVID. We still had COVID story, and we asked over 100 post operators of the world, the majority of civilized countries, and we addressed them to send all the import parcels to Poland or Slovakia, and then Ukraine will take their deliveries from abroad with our cars. We renewed import from with all the world, just a few countries that are inaccessible, among them North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, and some Latin American countries. And before the war, we had 15 direct contracts with airlines. They flew from Bristol with Turkish Airlines, Lufthansa, KLM, Windrose, MAU. And today we deliver to different countries. We loaded the airports of those countries using the right of open transit that ensures the World Mail Union. They accept Ukrainian vehicles, unload and upload to the airlines. We have 11 entrance points to the EU for all the parcels to move around the world, including Canada, USA, Australia, African region, Asia, anywhere. The results over 4 months. The war is for 9 years, but the active phase is now. The import amount decreased. We're in a level of 40% of pre-war, and export is almost 90% in pieces and 110 in kilos. And we moved almost more than 1 million of tons of exports. It's a big figure for mail deliveries. Ukrposhta, we're small. Our average weight is 500 grams. of parcels. So it's huge amount of parcel that we provide, we ensure delivery for. Big challenges was working with humanitarian cargoes. We did not have experience of working with humanitarian cargoes, only with parcel deliveries. So we made a series of changes to ensure almost 2 million of kilos of humanitarian aid. Our partners are very well-known companies, and that give us an opportunity to provide adequate terms of delivery, meaning time frames. We deliver around the world, and 90% of our deliveries up to 3 weeks. The USA, usually that's 2 weeks, from any village of Ukraine to any point in the world that is accessible. That analysis we publish on our website. It's renewed on a monthly basis, twice a month, and all the products that are available. So now we can say that we have learned to operate during the war in the regime to ensure enough quality, proper quality for delivery around the world. What are the special projects that helped us do this? First of all, we launched collaboration with Ukrzalyznytsia, Ukrainian Railways. So it's a railway post that bound many cities, mostly Lviv, Kyiv, Dnipro, Odessa, Kharkiv. To them joined Ivano-Frankivsk. Almost on a daily basis, 10, 11 railroad cars, they go around Ukraine. Daily load is about 14 metric tons. This weekend was parcel number 2 million on Ukrposhta. We had post wagons 20 years ago. After revolutions and many events, they were destroyed, and we renewed them very fast and started that communication again. That's an example, not only for the region and for other posts in the world, how to do it. Practically, big story started because a lot of exporters work with the U.S., and exporters to the U.S., they need to deliver parcels, and in the U.S. there is a lot of expensive medicine that has to be delivered to Ukraine. We made a collaboration between Ukrainian companies, Ukrposhta as national operator, Avia Airlines as Winrose, and Dnipro from west of Ukraine. It operates in New Jersey. They accept humanitarian cargoes from a lot of foundations. From Poland, there were airplanes. They flew on a weekly basis from Warsaw or from Lublin to New York, and they were loaded on the other way with humanitarian cargo. Thus, we moved 450 tons of humanitarian cargo, and today the cost of these goods is over $50 million. And we took mostly medication, or clothes or special food for military, and or a lot of surgical materials as well. This all provided our hospital. You saw who received those cargoes. They're very necessary, and I think how we did this cooperation with the U.S. Citizens who donated a lot of money for Ukrainians to receive that aid. That was an investment that we could do it as Ukrposhta. On top of American communications, a lot of European posts, we asked them, and they asked us how we can help. They want to do something good for Ukraine. So we told them that we'll accept humanitarian cargoes. And a lot of posts you see, small Georgia, with a small territory, via Ukrposhta, they delivered 530 metric tons of humanitarian cargo. Posts, they accumulated goods in Belgium, for instance. And in each department, you could bring goods for Ukrainians, so they were sorting them and delivered to Ukraine. All those cargoes, were moved to Lvov, to delivery center, and in cooperation with a lot of charity organizations, they were divided among territory of Ukraine, mostly to the east and south of Ukraine. Practically, not only humanitarian topic is very important. What was I saying? Ukrposhta is a critical infrastructure, so that's true. The war showed that, because when we're speaking about the operations of justice over Russian aggression, there is a lot. It's very important. The legal, important, the relations with tribunals and ECHR. Ukrpost for free delivers your applications, your claims, all those who suffered from war. You follow the link there is on the screen. You make an application form, the package of documents, and from any office of Ukrposhta, you deliver to Strasbourg. We delivered some thousands of applications for claims from Ukrainians. Each allows the opportunity to receive compensation up to €5,000. People from Ukraine that suffered from the war and have evidence that they suffered of that bloody aggressor that caused damages to their family can receive compensations. Also, it's an active topic that was discussed in Ukrainian media and in the world. The stamps about the Russian military ship, about Ukrainian dream, Mriya. We were not dreaming, we were acting. We started sales of those stamps, and I want to say that art stamps were printed 130,000 examples. The first were military, we made over 1 million. The second edition was 5 million. Mriya was first 3 million. Next, Good Evening Word from Ukraine, also 5 million. They are sold very fast around the world, so it becomes a stimulus for Ukrpost to open the store at Amazon, at eBay. We were first poster in the world that has its own brand shop on Amazon and eBay. The team of eBay is impressed because they said the sales from Ukraine, the first day when we just opened, they grew just some millions of dollars. And it's impressive because the stamp collection is more of a hobby of elderly people, and now it becomes a trend. And it's very cool that Ukrpost this way supports the spirit of Ukrainians. Also, Post proposed an interesting thing. We started 14 of our partners allowed Ukrainians to send parcels for free from any office. So you could come to Georgia and say, I have a parcel to Ukraine. I have a friend, he lives in Kharkiv. Here's the address. In Georgia, Post will receive this for free. Thus, we delivered 550 tons of free parcels. A lot of people in Ukraine who had relatives abroad, they received that help. And it's pleasant for me that our partners demonstrated that support for Ukrainians. Also, political things, we returned to the stamps. The stamp became a political symbol, so a lot of countries, they published stamps to support Ukraine. The majority of them were fundraising for Ukrainian military, for humanitarian needs. And I would like to stop on one of the stamps. You see France. It costs €2, 50 and 84 euro cents, or delivered to Red Cross, who then delivers money to Ukraine. It's 500,000 of them were published. So you can imagine how much money was raised. There were many examples for fundraising via stamps, special military stamps with our stamps with our leaders, political leaders. So stamps became popular in the world. Also, there are political benefits and victories. There are many international organizations and Ukrainian diplomats. They did a lot to exclude Russia from the list of adequate partners in the world. And Post is also part of it. So address the World Post Union. It's a huge organization with headquarters in Switzerland, 180 and 98 countries. It ensures many years the delivery from any point to any point of Ukraine and vice versa of any delivery. There are certain positions that are taken by any countries. There are elected positions. One of the positions was Russia's customs committee. You understand it's very important for international operation. We for them to remove the candidate from Russia. A lot of partner countries, powerful partners, supported that decision. You say you initiated that decision, so we set a tone that the aggressor country has no right to sit at the same table with the civilized countries. The next step, more post-Union, there is 6 regional divisions. European, it's called post-Europe. It includes 54 post operators, including post of Russia and post of Belarus. We agreed, here's the community post initiated, first in history, over 100 years, to exclude from post-Europe, post of Russia and Belarus. They were suspended. Their membership was suspended up to 5th of October with a right to extend. And as long as the aggression on our territory continues, this ban will continue. It doesn't mean that all the countries will close the communication with post of Russian, but the majority of them listen to that decision, and some of the countries with this political position, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Poland, and Australia, exclude Russia as a country for delivery. So citizens of those countries coming to their national post cannot make a delivery of anything from the territory of their country to Russian Federation. Other countries restricted commercials deliveries and made the post of Russia, which is a key infrastructure for Russian Federation, to become restricted. A very important moment why these sanctions are important. Also, 6th and 7th of package of sanctions, restriction of big brands. A lot of companies left Russian Federation, but actually Russia, as a true aggressor, they're being devious, and they try to deviate the sanctions to go around. They increased the up to €1,000 the tax-free limit. And they allowed a double standard of export. So if Apple bans delivery of iPhone to Russia by official importers, a person who buys Apple iPhone in the other country has the right to deliver it in a parcel. Before the start of the world, Russia, as all civilized world, they were a part of intellectual property rights. The producer had the right to restrict import to some countries. Russia excluded that, left that agreement and allowed all the citizens of Russia to procure whatever they want without tax up to €1,000 in a parcel. That's why this mail blockade is a very important step from our side to restrict and not to allow opportunity to go around sanctions. So it's aimed at for Russians to actually feel the consequence of sanctions. Practically, I would like to summarize our work. During the war, we renewed almost 45% of import, almost 100% of exports, and you see how Ukrposhta meets a post of the world, how we exchange parcels, how we go to the airplanes, and our big partners gave a lot of things to Ukrainians. We went to the combat areas. A lot of users of Ukrposhta, they were hospitals, military units. Even to the front line, we delivered some items that are very important for the Ukrainians. That's how our working routine, looks like. What inspires all of us, all the employees of Ukrposhta. A lot of our employees, they work in gray area, bringing retirement money and foodstuffs to civilians for civilians to subsist. And when you see those pictures, when we deliver food for infants to those areas, it inspires our team. It's a huge 60,000 employees in Ukraine. Ukrposhta is expected as civilization in every part of our country. And I wish all that no other post company in the world would have to work during the war, because for us it's very important. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for information. Let's speak about time frames of delivery, of professional deliveries. We understand that since the start of the war, this time frame has increased. You change logistics, And due to objective reasons, did you manage to normalize the time frames of delivery? I return once again to my slide. We almost normalized deliveries, almost by 25-30%. We increased the time frames versus prior full-scale war. So we openly say that to which countries everything is good, to which countries not very good. Even here, Australia is different from other countries because to reach Australia, we need to 4 different loadings. Move to Europe, wait in a queue on the border, then upload in several airports. There's no direct communication, so there are difficult regions to where it's difficult to deliver. What I want to confirm, if we go to export packages that are 2-3 weeks, 90%. And for war times, it's impressive because Korea, for instance, during COVID, for 18 months, they were not delivering to Ukraine at all. Very civilized country. They thought it was too expensive to deliver to a lot of the world their parcels. Ukrposhta, we reinvested a lot of money. We didn't change tariff. Tariffs did not change until the end of the year, and we'll find options to not to change them in next year, because from understanding the tariff, it's also the amount of parcels depend. Speaking of humanitarian cargoes on territory of Ukraine, we know there are many volunteers. They operate for 5 months in this regime of nonstop delivering and collecting cargoes for the territories that are under shelling, under fire. Did you find any mechanism for them to improve their operations from a financial standpoint? Yes. We're speaking about this rail post. I want to show the slide. Since the 1st of April, we implemented active work with the railway. Dnipro, Kyiv, Odessa, Kharkiv rail station, there is special parcel where volunteers can bring the parcels. There is minimal cost of transfer. If you don't have financing, there are other foundations that cover that minimal cost. So you can deliver for free to majority of directions to give them in the territory of Ukraine. Between Lviv, Kharkiv, Lviv and Dnipro, Lviv, Odessa, they're most popular for humanitarian cargoes. And we continue moving those cargoes with Ukrzaliznytsia for free practically. Speaking of the amounts of Chernihiv, speaking of Sumy and Chernihiv, did you start working with them? They were deoccupied. A lot of departments that were damaged a lot by the war. There were villages that have no administrative buildings that were not destroyed, like in Borodyanska in Kyiv region. We had a big sorting object that occupants burned to the ground. We work in a school. Some will work in libraries, some will work, format. The Ukrposhta is good. It's a movable post department. Before the war, we promised to everyone that in 2.5 years we'll make 2,500 post departments on wheels that would go around small villages. Even the war didn't stop this process. For 3 times we launched it prior to the war, some additional districts. Right now, 2,200 of such vehicles. We have 2 freed regions, Sumy, Chernihiv, Kyiv. They are functioning in adequate regime, I can say. Pretty often it's not our post department, it's either cooperation with somebody or this movable post, but Ukrainians have access to post department. Do you call it your questions? Inform Victoria Shevchenko. A question regarding official store for Ukrposhta on Amazon. What are the first results of its activity, and how in the future this store will be developed? It's an active news. It was very interesting for our clients because it's a big symbol. It's a symbolic thing. We did not set the task. You see for how much we're sold on territory of Ukraine, Rosetka and Promi and different platforms. For foreigners, it's very important for us to be present there. I cannot say that we we approach the international amount of delivery, because in Ukraine there's hundreds of thousands of deliveries, and in international it's just thousands of deliveries. It's a good result for international business, and I think that further on, next step will be uh, with additional merchandise, with sweatshirts, with T-shirts. We'll publish, and we'll add clients also that cannot invest, launch on the internet store. Though it's clear position, we did a lot to train other clients to open their private stores. But those who will not be able to do it will propose in the autumn the solution that will allow them to sell via Ukrposhta their goods around the world. Thank you for the info, and I recall it's Yuliia Pavlenko, Director of Department of National Operations of Ukrposhta. Dear colleagues, I remind you that next briefing will happen at 1:30, so please stay with us. Thank you.
Все, можна йти?